Good morning, I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow. Here are the stories we're following today.
Karen, we begin with the controversy surrounding OpenAI. A day after the founder, Sam Altman, left for Microsoft, the firm says it is in, quote, intense discussions to unify the company. In an internal memo reviewed by Bloomberg News, Vice President of Global Affairs Anna Makanju says OpenAI management is also in touch with Altman. In an interview with Bloomberg News, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella signaled he would be open to Altman going back to OpenAI.
We really want to partner with OpenAI and we want to partner with Sam. And so irrespective of where Sam is, he's working with Microsoft. And that is the case on Friday, and that's the case today. And I absolutely believe that'll be the case tomorrow.
Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella says no matter what happens, OpenAI needs governance changes. Microsoft shares closed at a record high yesterday.
Well, Nathan, nearly all of OpenAI's employees threatened to quit and follow Altman to Microsoft unless the current board resigned. Gene Munster, managing partner at Deepwater Asset Management, thinks Altman will land back at OpenAI.
The board's going to be gone. So if Altman goes back, by the way, that is my prediction what happens here. I think he's actually going to return to OpenAI. If he goes back to OpenAI, they're going to be more aggressive at opening these models up. And if he stays with Microsoft, they're going to be more aggressive. And I think at the end of the day, you're probably going to see faster adoption of AI features. It's been coming at a neck break speed, but I think it's going to be even faster based on everything that's happened here. This is really allowing Altman to take his gloves off and probably do what he's wanted to do for the last 8 years.
And that's Deepwater Asset Management's Gene Munster speaking to Bloomberg.
Now let's get to the latest from the Middle East. The leader of Hamas, Ismail Haniyeh, says his group is close to reaching a truce agreement with Israel through talks mediated by Qatar. President Biden has said both sides are near a deal to free some of the 240 hostages Hamas seized in the October 7th attack. White House National Security spokesman John Kirby says there would need to be a pause in the fighting.
If you're going to secure the release of hostages, and we certainly hope we're going to be able to do that soon, you got to make sure they can get from where they are to safety and do that as safely as possible, which means you're going to have at least a temporary localized stop in the fighting.
White House spokesman John Kirby says it's been difficult getting information on the hostages because Hamas has control of that access. Meantime, Israeli forces continue to engage in heavy fighting in the northern Gaza Strip. Israel's taken control of much of the Al-Shifa hospital, which it says Hamas used as a command and control center.
Well, Nathan, the White House has opened accounts on Meta's social media platform Threads for the president and vice president, and Bloomberg said Baxter has the details.
The White House says it's just another way to meet people where they are. It says it's been using different forms of media since the beginning of the administration, and this has been in motion for several weeks now. But the timing does come in the wake of Elon Musk's endorsement of anti-Semitic content, and according to sources, the White House is not considering ending its use of X accounts because of that, although they do say the Musk post angered Biden and his aides. Ed Baxter, Bloomberg Radio.
Okay, Ed, thank you. A new front's opening in the U.S.-China chip conflict. President Biden is shifting focus to an emerging area of the contest for technological supremacy, the process of packaging semiconductors that is increasingly seen as a path to achieving higher performance. The U.S. isn't alone, though, in recognizing the potential of so-called advanced packaging. China, too, is capitalizing on an area that is not subject to sanctions, capturing global market share and achieving progress that it was denied in manufacturing high-end chips.
Well, staying with chips, Nathan, NVIDIA reports earnings after the bell. The high-flying semiconductor stock is up 245% so far this year. Mandeep Singh, senior technology analyst for Bloomberg, says NVIDIA shares closed at an all-time high yesterday.
And Karen, was staying on the earnings front. Zoom reported better than expected revenue on strong enterprise sales. The company, whose signature video software became the essential communications tool for homebound Americans during the pandemic, has now turned its focus to business customers. Zoom has added features for those clients, including word processing, and stepped up the use of artificial intelligence to buttress its main video conferencing service.
Nathan, investors also have their eyes on U.S. Treasuries, wondering if the world's deepest debt market will suffer a third straight year of losses. And we get more in this live report from Bloomberg's John Tucker. John, good morning.
Karen, investors who anticipated 2023 would be the year of the bond were instead hit by waves of turmoil. But the year may have a happy ending as Treasuries soar this month. Traders now bet the Fed is done with hiking interest rates and, in fact, will cut rates in the first half of next year. They hope that happy narrative gets support when when the Fed today releases minutes of its last policy meeting. The surge in bond prices also got a green light to continue yesterday after an auction of 20-year debt went off without a hitch. U.S. Treasuries have gained 2.6% this month through Friday, cutting their loss for the year to merely 0.2%, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. John Tucker, Bloomberg Radio.
All right, John, thank you. Finally, as we approach the Thanksgiving holiday, Black Friday and Cyber Monday spending are projected to hit new highs. Consumers plan to spend an average of $567 during those two shopping events. That would be a 13% increase from last year. That result is a record for Deloitte's annual Black Friday Cyber Monday survey. About 84% of shoppers say they feel confident enough to stick with the budgets they set in September. 4 in 10 say they will finish their holiday shopping during this long holiday weekend. Futures pointing to a modestly higher open this morning on Wall Street. This is Bloomberg.
All right, Nathan, thanks. It's time now for a look at some of the other stories making news around the world. For that, we're joined by Bloomberg's Amy Morris. Amy, good morning.
Good morning, Karen. Police in Ohio say a shooter opened fire at a Walmart, wounding 4 people before apparently killing himself. The attack took place last night at a Walmart in Beaver Creek in the Dayton metropolitan area. Beaver Creek Police Captain Scott Molnar says the 4 victims are currently being treated for their injuries.
Injured 4 victims. The conditions of the victims right now is unknown as they were all transported to area hospitals for treatment.
Police did not immediately release the name of the gunman or a possible motive for the attack. Meanwhile, in Colorado, another mass shooting. Police say 3 people are dead and 4th is in critical condition after a gunman opened fire in Custer County. Police say that gunman is on the run. They believe he was in a civil dispute with one of the victims over property lines. Donald Trump's gag order hearing is over. A panel of 3 federal appeals witnesses appeared reluctant to give Trump a green light to resume public attacks on witnesses, prosecutors, and court staff, but they did signal that they would be open to narrowing the scope of the gag order. Judge Patricia Millett.
We certainly want to make sure that the criminal trial process and its integrity and its truth-finding function are protected, but we've got to use a careful scalpel here and not step into really sort of skewing the political arena, don't we?
The D.C. Circuit put the case on a fast track rather than a typical appeal, but did not say when it plans to rule. Trump's lawyers have already said they'll ask the Supreme Court to intervene if the appeals court doesn't lift the full order. Thanksgiving's just 2 days away, but the travel rush is already underway. By road, rail, or runway, millions of Americans are traveling this week. TSA expects this to be one of the busiest travel periods of the year. This traveler flying out of the Oakland International Airport refuses to lose her cool if things go awry.
I imagine there'll be a few, but I'll just roll with it.
AAA says today and tomorrow are peak travel windows when nearly 5 million people will pass through airports, 1 million people will ride the rails, and 50 million Americans will be on the highway. Global news 24 hours a day and whenever you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Amy Morris, and this is Bloomberg. Karen.
All right, Amy, thank you. Well, we do bring you news throughout the day right here on Bloomberg Radio. But as you heard Amy say, now you can get the latest news on demand whenever you want it. Just subscribe to Bloomberg News Now to get the latest headlines at the click of a button. Get informed on your schedule. You can listen and subscribe to Bloomberg News Now on the Bloomberg Business app, Bloomberg.com, plus Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. It is time now for the Bloomberg Sports Update. Here's John Stashower. John.
Karen, Philadelphia Eagles coach Nick Sirianni admits the previous game between his team and the Kansas City Chiefs a little bit more important. That was last February's Super Bowl, won by KC. But the Eagles did get some revenge in a Monday nighter at Arrowhead Stadium, winning 21-17. They trailed 17-7 at halftime. Jalen Hurts scored a touchdown in the third quarter, and then the go-ahead TD on a quarterback sneak, capping an 80-yard drive with 6:20 remaining. The Eagles are 9-1. They're the first team since the Colts in 2005 and 6 to start consecutive seasons with that good of a record. Quarterback change in New York, no surprise. The Jets benching the struggling Zach Wilson, turning to Tim Boyle, who's only made 3 NFL starts and has never won a game. Joe Flacco signing with the Cleveland Browns, although the Browns will keep Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the rookie, as their starter, replacing the injured Deshaun Watson. Geno Smith has an elbow injury, hopeful that he can play for Seattle in a game Thursday night against the 49ers. Upset in the NBA, Charlotte beat the Celtics at overtime, 121-118. The Hornets had lost 4 in a row. It ends the Celtics 6-game winning streak. Jason Tatum scored 45 in the loss. The Warriors had lost 6 in a row, but got Steph Curry back in the lineup, and he scored 32 in a 121-116 win over Houston. 6th straight loss for Washington, beaten at home by Milwaukee, 142-129. Giannis Antetokounmpo scored 42, shot 20 of 23. Bruins lost in overtime at Tampa Bay. John Stashak with Bloomberg Sports. Karen?
All right, John, thank you. Well, coming up on Bloomberg Daybreak, you've been hearing a lot about OpenAI and Sam Altman and Microsoft, of course. We'll be talking to the Microsoft CEO, Satya Nadella. He joined our Emily Chang, and he's going to discuss this entire story with us straight ahead. And ahead of that conversation, futures are lower, with S&P futures down 0.1%, down about 5 points. And this is Bloomberg.
From coast to coast, from New York to San Francisco, Boston to Washington, D.C., nationwide on SiriusXM, the Bloomberg Business app, and Bloomberg.com. This is Bloomberg Daybreak.
Good morning. I'm Nathan Hager. We continue to follow the saga at OpenAI after a whirlwind of events over the weekend led to the ouster of co-founder Sam Altman, only for Microsoft to bring him on. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella joined Bloomberg's Emily Chang to discuss the hiring of Sam Altman as OpenAI investors push for Altman to come back. They also spoke about Microsoft's partnership with the company and its goals for artificial intelligence. Let's bring you that conversation now.
Satya, obviously, it's been a very fast-moving and dramatic last 72 to 48 hours, and I want to start with the state of play. Where are we now? OpenAI says it's hired a new CEO. We're reporting there are efforts to get Sam Altman back. Tell us where things stand.
Well, first of all, Emily, it's great to be with you. On Friday morning, we were very excited, committed, and confident in our innovation roadmap to bring this next generation of AI to our customers. And we feel fantastic and capable of doing that. And we were partnered with OpenAI, and we were partnered with Sam. And that's exactly where I am on Monday afternoon, if you will, because we think that we can, we are leading in this next generation of AI technology. We continue to be committed to OpenAI, and we continue to be committed to Sam and Greg and the team, irrespective of where they are. And, I think about Sam has chosen multiple times now to work with us, and that's fantastic to see. And I think the real thing is that the capability that Microsoft has across the tech stack is what attracts great people like Sam, and people like Sam and, innovators like Sam when it comes to AI to come to us, and we're thrilled about it.
You incredibly quickly hired Sam as well as Greg. We are hearing that Sam wants to return. Investors want him to return to OpenAI. How would you feel about that?
Yeah, as I said, we really want to partner with OpenAI, and we want to partner with Sam. And so irrespective of where Sam is, he's working with Microsoft. And that is the case on Friday, and that's the case today. And I absolutely believe that that'll be the case tomorrow.
So what are the conversations you've had with OpenAI's current board? From their perspective, where do things stand? And have you talked with Emmett Shear, the new interim CEO?
Yeah, I've had conversations with Emmett. And again, it's the same thing. There's no real difference there from where we were when we were working with Mira and she was interim CEO, or when Sam was CEO, and Emmett. So my message to them, Emmett, is very clear, which is, hey, look, we remain very, very committed to OpenAI and its mission and its sort of roadmap, and they can count on us. And then, as I said, we are also very committed to Sam and Greg and team that want to join us. If they're not at OpenAI, or anyone else who is at OpenAI wants to go somewhere else, we want them to come to Microsoft and continue to work here and in partnership with OpenAI.
To your knowledge, why was Sam fired? And to your knowledge, was he involved in any wrongdoing? Has the board given you a reason?
As far as I'm concerned, we were, as I said, we were very confident in Sam and his leadership team. I have not been told about anything. They published internally at OpenAI that there is not the board has not talked about anything that Sam did other than some breakdown in communications. And I've not directly and was told by anyone from their board about any issues. And so therefore, I remain confident in Sam and his leadership and capability. And that's why we want to welcome him to Microsoft.
Now, we understand that to support a return of Sam Altman to OpenAI, Microsoft wants some changes to the board, to governance, to its overall contract with OpenAI, so something like this never happens again. What specifically are you looking for? For example, would you want a board seat? And if not, what else?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely will want some governance changes so that, surprises are bad, and we just want to make sure that things are done in a way that will allow us to continue to partner well. That's about it, right? This idea that somehow, suddenly changes happen without being, in the loop is not good. And we will definitely ensure that some of the changes that are needed happen. And we continue to be able to go along on the partnership with OpenAI.
So how are you envisioning this role with the sort of, advanced AI team that Sam and Greg would be joining and leading? Can you explain that? And are they actually Microsoft employees right now? Like, who do they work for?
Yeah, so they're all in the process of joining. And yes, I mean, the thing is, look, we have a ton of AI expertise in this company. In fact, at our Ignite conference last week, we talked about all of the great work OpenAI is doing and on Azure and all the, models and tools that we built around it. And we also talked about all the open source models that are on Azure, from, Llama and Mistral and JS and everything, and then also, in fact, not only are we leaders in LLMs in partnership with OpenAI, but we're also leaders in SLMs, or the small language models with Phi. And we talked about that, which is all developed by Microsoft Research. So what I'm excited about is sort of creating another team that's really going to have high ambition on leading edge advanced AI work that Sam and Greg are excited about. This is something that, we've talked a lot about with them. What happens in 25? What happens in 30? What do we do to advance both the system side, the science side? And that's the thing that we will be pushing on.
Now, many folks I'm speaking with don't see Sam as a sort of big tech company guy. He has all of these side projects that, we've already heard about. We've reported on new projects. Would he be able to pursue these side projects while being employed by Microsoft?
Yeah, I'm sure, Sam is got broad interests and broad investments and so on, and we'll definitely, work through the governance aspects of it. But most importantly, I think he would want to only work at Microsoft if he wants to spend his full-time time on really pursuing the mission, just like how he was spending his time on OpenAI. And so that's kind of the idea behind having him lead this advanced research team around AI with Greg and others. And, that's an exciting, thing for us to look forward to.
I'm curious just your reaction to, the last 3 days of events. Are you now more concerned than ever about AI safety, given we've seen clearly how fragile these institutions are?
It's a great point. I mean, the thing that I think, in some sense, I've always felt that we should think about the unintended consequences of any great advances in technology from day one versus dealing with them later. So in some sense, I welcome this dialogue, if you will, of safety and safety first even in technology and technological development, right? I mean, I think, in some sense, it should be celebrated that we as a tech industry have gotten to a place where we don't think of this as a trade-off, but we think about this as two considerations that are both first class, right? One is how do we build technology so that everybody in the world can have a doctor that they can reach, or a tutor, or a rural farmer in India has more agency because of technology that was developed in the West Coast of the United States a few months earlier. These are unbelievable things that democratize access on one side, but on the other side, right, being grounded on the here and now harms, right? Whether it's election interference or deep fakes or bias, or bioterrorism, and having the guardrails against it, or even some of the AI takeoff existential risks and the alignment research that is required. So I think that there is a real robust dialogue that's happening, and real work. Like when I think about Microsoft, we've done, in fact, some of the most work around AI alignment, AI safety, guardrails. So for example, even the open source models we launched last week all have benefit from all the guardrail work we did around OpenAI models.
So throughout the reporting process, we've heard, concerns about potential regulatory issues and, of course, the power that Microsoft already has, the power that Microsoft has in AI. Have you, on your end, worked through all the potential legal issues at play here? I mean, I just spoke to one investor who said, they're considering suing OpenAI. Like, there's a lot of things that have yet, it seems, to be figured out. And do you know what Microsoft's legal liability is and OpenAI's legal liability is, given your significant investment there?
Yeah, look, I'm most focused on and most excited about our ability to continue to innovate, Emily. I mean, I'll let the lawyers sort of figure out what liabilities are, but I think we have all the capability, all the IP, and all the things that we need in order to continue to essentially control our destiny here so that we can continue to innovate on behalf of our customers. That's what matters. That's what makes Microsoft Microsoft. And we'll continue to do what we need to do.
Okay, so quick last question. This is today. Who's going to be CEO of OpenAI tomorrow? You tell me.
I will leave it to OpenAI and its board.
Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella says no matter what happens, OpenAI needs governance changes. Microsoft shares closed at a record high yesterday. This is Bloomberg Daybreak Today, your morning brief on the stories making news from Wall Street to Washington and beyond.
Look for us on your podcast feed at 6 a.m. Eastern each morning on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.
You can also listen live each morning starting at 5 a.m. Wall Street time on Bloomberg 1130 in New York, Bloomberg 99.1 in Washington, Bloomberg 106.1 in Boston, and Bloomberg 960 in San Francisco.
Our flagship New York station is also available on your Amazon Alexa devices. Just say, Alexa, play Bloomberg 1130.
Plus, listen coast to coast on the Bloomberg Business app, SiriusXM, the iHeartRadio app, and on Bloomberg.com. I'm Nathan Hager.
And I'm Karen Moscow. Join us again tomorrow morning for all the news you need to start your day right here on Bloomberg Daybreak.